What's up, guys? This is Onyemana, your host today for Inside High School Hoops with Brian Burton, and of course me, Onyemana. Brian Burton's not here today, so it's just going to be me. So we're going to solo dolo it. We got our guests today that are coming up 10:30. We'll have Doug Jones from Houston that works at RCS Sports, and then we have Mike Lopez out of San Antonio that works for Alamo City Hoops. So today, I got about 10, 12 minutes. I know in previous shows that we've been talking about, the Duncanville Waxahachie, the main teams, just the high upper echelon team. So I kind of want to do these minutes, talk about the teams I really haven't showed love for. And first off, I want to talk about Garland High School. So they got the Jeffel brothers, and I think I'm saying the last name correct. But you got Ugo, Chucks, and Zuby. Garland is 11-1. They had a tough loss against Neiman Forest, and we'll talk about Neiman Forest in a little bit. But when you talk about guys with size, that's 6'6", 6'7", and 6'8", roughly, it wasn't Zuby. I think he's growing a little bit, maybe close to 6'9" as your front line guys. Garland's been really, really tough. Zuby has made himself a national name, and he's in the top 75 in the country for most national athletes. 75 to 100, athletic, grown man body, skills really emerging. Ugo's young. He's a 2024. He's talented. I think he can turn out to be just as good as Zuby when it's all said and done. Real versatile, offensive skill-wise, and plays tough. And Chucks, he's a 2021. Really like how he does. High motor, utility guy, gets a lot done. I mean, Garland's going to be a tough team. It definitely when it comes playoff time, just with the size alone. And then you got guys that can get things done. I think you talk about three collegiate prospects on one team, especially in the high school level. That's really going to make a difference. So I want to talk about Neiman Forest. That was a big win against Garland. All that day, watch it. I was keeping up. Got two kids that really can get stuff done and allow Neiman Forest to have a pretty solid season. Right now, they're 11-6. So they got 2022 Octavius Hobbs. Was at Little M last year, transferred over. He's a guard that really can get hot quick, can score the basketball, from the perimeter, really excels in pick and roll. And, some of the clips I've been seeing, some of the games I kind of watch 10, 15 minutes here and there. He's been really getting a lot done on the offensive end, defensively putting more effort. Then you have one of my kids, he's a sleeper. I don't know what level he ends up being, but I do know his best basketball is ahead. He's only been playing basketball, I think, 2.5 years, and that's Justin Whitmore, 2022. About 6'6", kind of your face. He's a 4 right now. That's kind of transition more on the wing. He's talented. He's got good length, finish around the basket, fundamentally sound, especially for a kid that's been playing basketball for so long. Not so long. And you can tell Justice has been really coached well and taught the right things. And just really, really impressed by how he's been performing. I like us on the summer, and knowing a kid like him, saying how he progressed from May to July. I can only imagine, and kind of seeing a little bit now. I'm really excited to see what he looks like when the spring comes. Another team that I really been keeping an eye on is Allen. Allen's been having a really good season. Although they did lose Texas A&M's like Emmanuel Obaseki, they're still strong. Coach does a really good job with his guys. He can go 10 deep, still be very effective and win basketball games. They're led by Oakland signee Mason Gibson. A tough, rugged guard, really excels on the defense and getting downhill. Mason was a kid that always intrigued me because he wasn't someone that really looked the part. But when you look at his stat line, when you just watch the game, he really impacted winning. That was diving for loose balls. That's just really containing the best offensive perimeter guy. Then now his scoring has really came along. He's really getting a strong floater game. His outside game off the catch has really, really been improving. So Mason Gibson's really been leading the charge. And he's a leader. He's a vocal leader. He's tough. He's someone that's going to lead his troops. Also, at Allen, you got Ian Cornell Siney. He's talented. Ian was someone I saw his sophomore year. Athletic, strong body, can get a lot done, especially on the glass, and then transition just as a finisher. So, Allen, the team I haven't talked about, team I show no love to, and just really, really been playing good basketball. Losing a high major point guard it's kind of tough to bounce back. It's been really, really impressive. Den Braswell is another team in the 5A. Robert Jones Jr. He, they just call him RJ. So 2023 gets, he's really, elevated his game, scoring on all three levels, grown some. He has good length to his body. Just mid-range game is fantastic. But defensively, especially in the 1-through-1 round, he's been disruptive. Intercepting passive lanes, using his lane, taking charges. RJ kind of come to his own, growing too. And so you're starting to see really good basketball for Den Braswell. They had a fairly convincing win against Little Elm last night. And so, a couple games that I've been able to watch and just able to follow. So you got Dallas Madison, been playing really well. Coach Mobley, he's going to give you. I wouldn't be surprised Dallas Madison get to that Final Four this year, like they normally do. Like by Jerome Rogers, who I was really. I saw him at Marcus Sloan's camp. It was his fall camp. I was, lefty. Really more of your attacking type guard. But I saw him kind of slow it down, change speeds, and make plays for others. And at Madison, and how fast they play, and just how he gets at it defensively. Really impressed by. Really impressed by. Often Jerome Rogers, Madison, what they normally do in basketball games. So you got several teams in Dallas. Really, really talented teams. Obviously San Antonio, which we'll talk about when our guests come in. But those are some teams that really haven't talked about, and definitely need to be talked about. I'll keep going. You got South Grand Prairie. Have one of the better 2021 availables in Jordan Roberts. He's getting close to 23 points per game. Had a solid summer. Couldn't really get in a consistent groove. But during the season, just been lights out scoring. Done a good job, kind of putting him in spots and making him operate in his areas where he can thrive and score. And just on the glass, he really competes. Jordan is going to be someone I can see it in Region 14, Region 5, but really, really doing some damage, and even in the D2 level as well. I mean, Jordan, I think his best basketball is ahead of him. He's always been a kid that's intrigued me ever since I saw him in 8th grade, and I think it's just kind of coming together. So that's kind of what you got there. I watched Marcus Sloan. He hosted with him and Faith Family. They hosted the MLK Classic, so that was some really good basketball. I got to watch there. You had Faith Family. My team, Taco Storm, played in it. RWG STEM. You had a Next Level Academy, and then then you had Premier Academy. So you had some in Kimball. So you had some real high level teams, high level games. My favorite one to watch, just on a competitive standpoint, was Kimball and Premier Academy. Premier Academy was missing some guys. So Doc, big fella. He was in 2022. He's probably, you would say, no-brainer, top 15 to 20 player in the state of Texas, and which is 6'11". He wasn't there, but Premier Academy ended up winning that game. 2021, Will Young was very impressive. Lefty strong, really got to his spots. When they were kind of pinching down on the paint, started getting to his mid-range game, started, knocking down shots on the outside, and he was getting some. He was able to kick it out to his shooters. Sam Curtis Jr., I believe, hit 5 threes, which was key for Premier Academy. So he's a 2022 guard as well that just couldn't leave open. He got going. But I was really impressed by Will Young, just his poise. When they were up early and then Kimball made a run. Most you see guards kind of break down a little bit, try to do things that they don't normally do, and Will kept doing what he does best, and that really impressed me. And another one, David Guy for Premier Academy. I think he's just been as consistent as all as they get. He's a 2022 that has really good perimeter game. Can really stretch it out, hit jumpers. He wasn't really falling. He got in foul trouble early, so he got on the glass. He started finishing above the rim. He started being disruptive interior, and that was something I like to see, because most games I see at David, he's more flowing down the perimeter, but it's always consistent, and that's big big reason that Premier Academy won as well. Kimball, they're always excited to watch. Nick Smith does a really good job just, with his guys playing with pace. They got good positional size. Arterio Morris, 2022, he's the guy. At Kimball, had 31 points, was really shifty off the bounce, breaking his man down, finishing on the rim. Terrio, as we call him, I mean, he has all the talent in the world. He has all the talent in the world, as far as just handle, athleticism. His shots streaky at the one time, but could really evolve into a real consistent jump shooter. Except for where he can develop to, and I think this spring and summer is going to be a big one for him. As far as just developing more leadership qualities and really just kind of honing to his own skill set. Chauncey Gibson is another one I'm really, you can say intrigued. I know I said intrigued about 4 or 5 times already, but I like Chauncey. Chauncey's he's a player that can really hit shots from him. He's starting to get into his own as far as embracing contact. Now, that's not a strength of his, but I did like how he tried to get to the defense, absorb some contact, was starting to finish, start finding guys in the open court. So Chauncey Gibson's a player that I can see his stock really rise this summer as well. So, there was some really good basketball being played this past week. There's a lot of good teams in the Metroplex. And I just want to make sure that, that I continue just to acknowledge the ones that really been playing well. So, obviously, when we talk about Marcus Sloan's event going forward, we had a Bay family. They had their game against they had a game against Next Level. And I said it last week. I'm going to say it again. TJ Caldwell, he's a real sleeper in this class. And I'm saying sleeper, but I think people are starting to wake up. Freak athlete. His skill level has really came a long ways as far as just his handle. He used to be more of like a loose ball handler, but more tight to his handle. Coach BT has done a hell of a job just with his overall development. And I would say for the same thing for all those kids, for the Jordan Walsh, Makai Collins, Big Dorian, the 2024 kid, he's been doing a really good job as far as just developing those guys. But TJ, I've been really impressed with his jumpers coming along. It's not there yet, and that's fine. But it is really getting there, and he's looking really good. I mean, he's in contention. If you were to ask me a kid that would be a potential top 7 to 10 player, if he is not now, in the 2022 class, when we talk about a year from now, that's definitely TJ Caldwell, and he's really making a leap. I've been telling coaches, telling guys, I think he's someone that's really honing to his skill set. And then obviously with Faith Family, I talked about Jordan Walsh. I just like how the game's slowing down for him. Big time athlete with big time length. He's really thrives in transition, but in the half-court game, making better reads. Just as a passer, just making crisper passes and just seeing the floor a lot better. That was a big thing for Jordan. His jumper is coming along. He's starting to really hit open jumpers, and it just makes a big difference. So really, really impressed, and I love watching a team like Faith Family play because they get a lot done. So those are my thoughts. Those are my teams that I got to see during the week, and teams that I failed to acknowledge in the past, but want to make sure I acknowledge today. So I think we got Doug Jones on here. So Doug Jones, RCS Sports. He's on. So let's get him in.
What's going on, Ani? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now, Doug. What's good?
What's going on, man? Nothing much. How you doing?
I'm good. Hey, I'm trying to get a beard like yours.
Yeah, man. It took a while. It's kind of rough right now. I got to go see my barber, but no, man, it's been a process.
Yeah, I'm trying to get mine a little bit. I think I'll get there. Give me about 4 years. I could probably get to halfway like yours.
4 years, that's a long time, bro.
My face hair did not grow right. But Doug, I'll give a small introduction. Doug has been working for RCS Sports, who's ran by Jim Hicks for a long time, ever since I've been in school. I've been playing. So Doug's been, been covering the greater Houston area for a long time. One thing I like about Doug, he's to himself. He very genuine, true with his evaluations. And Doug, really happy. I saw this past summer you ran your first event by yourself.
Yeah.
Your event. So that was something I was really happy for you about. Doug just continues to grow. He, like I say, he's to himself, and he's just someone that was very open when I first came up and talked to him. He was just a very open guy and just was talking, and he kind of gave me some tips of how to help me, become a better evaluator. So much love to Doug. Doug, how long have you worked at RCS for?
It's been 7 years since 2014. 2014, I started. I used to coach AAU, a team called Port Arthur Heat, and Jim came up to me, and I used to always mess with Hicks about, like, man, let me come work with you. He was like, well, if you're gonna come work for me, you got to separate yourself from the AAU, summer basketball scene. So one day I just thought about it, and I was like, you know what, man, I'm gonna go ahead and do this evaluation thing, and I started in 2014 and been rolling with him ever since.
Gotcha. So, Doug, let's talk about players that have really been performing. Houston, I've been able to really go out there in about a month and a half. So, keep me let me know who's been hooping.
Man, in the 2021 class, you got to start off with Ramon Walker, who's committed to U of H. He's had a really, really good year. He's one of the best scorers in the class. I think U of H got a really good one. Shadow Creek, they suffered a loss about 2 weeks ago to Dawson, which was surprising. Then they got shut down with COVID, but they're definitely going to be one of the teams that's vying for a spot for the state tournament. Also, the new kid that moved in from out of town, Tyrone Baker, that plays at Hightower, he's been performing really well. He's probably averaging a double-double. He's a defensive nightmare because he's blocking everything at the rim. And he's a defensive anchor, and he's probably the best big in that class right now. In the transitioning to the 2022 class, Terrence Arsenal has been outstanding this year, man. He's been unbelievable every game. And it's not even his offensive ability, it's his defensive ability. Being a 6'6", 6'7" wing, but averaging about 4 or 5 block shots a game is crazy. And a kid that's been really playing well, and I'm happy to see, is Jordan Williams at Second Baptist. He's been averaging probably about 35 the last 2 months, and they have a big game coming up Friday against the Woodlands Christians, against another 2022 guard in Austin Bonini. That should be really fun to see. So those are some of the guys that's been performing really well.
Tyrone Baker was somebody that I really liked when I first saw him in the summer.
Yeah.
I know he was playing with RL9. Could kind of stretch it out, can hit shots.
Yeah.
Really like hearing that he's defending, and he's really, having a sense of urgency of blocking shots and rebounding. That was one thing I did want to see with him, especially when I saw him in the fall, would just take more of assertive effort into blocking shots and rebounding. So that's really good there. I like Tyrone.
Man.
He's talented. He's another kid, with bigs. We could be 2 years from now and he's averaging, 12.7 rebounds wherever his next spot.
He's just committed to Georgia day before yesterday.
Okay, perfect. So, good system for him. Coach Green, I think he's going to really develop him, and I really do like that fit for him.
Yeah.
Jordan Williams, Marcus Sloan brought him to my attention last week as well, that he's really been performing well. So it's good that, as you're also saying that, he's been playing well. Yeah. He's a kid, like I said before last week, I thought football was his route. Then really took a commitment.
Everybody did.
Yeah. And took a commitment to basketball and just really performing. He's someone, when I go to Houston, I got to go check out. Terrence
he's shooting the ball a lot better. Not to cut you off, but he's shooting the ball a lot better this year from outside. Like, that was his Achilles heel. Like, going back as far as June, when he played a couple of times in the summer, but I've seen him about 4 or 5 times this year, and he's knocking down shots. So that's really good to see.
So, what do you think is a reason that he's able just to knock shots more? How you able to talk to him, or kind of you seen a difference in mechanics,
He
or
he just said it used to be just a line drive. He said he's been working on getting more art. He always had good form and everything. It was just a flat shot. And he said he's been in the gym working. The kid's one of the hardest working kids in the city. So him developing that is not surprising. It was just a matter of it just starting to come together.
So Jordan, as a 22, after this summer's over, obviously we don't know what a live period really looks like. Obviously we have dates, but where do you see him in as far as like a Houston ranking? You know, as because I didn't know he really has a work ethic like that, and that's really good to know.
Yeah,
we're talking July of 2021. What does where does he fall into a ranking?
July 2021, he's definitely in the top 15, maybe top 10 if he continues his trajectory as he's been doing the last few months. Like he's other than Terrence Arsenault, and that's really it. He's been the most consistent kid in the city. Not named Bryce Griggs, because Bryce Griggs is on another level. So
right, yeah, he's in his own tier.
He's in his own tier. But I tell you what, though, Terrence Arsenault is like he's creeping up, man. That kid is really good. That kid is really good.
I got to see him. He came to our camp in June, and that was the first time I got to watch him in a while. I think that was his first game type that he played all while we were quarantined. And he was really good. I mean, offensively, he was just making shots. He was really efficient. I think he had 23 points in 19 minutes and missed 2 shots.
He's super efficient, man. And he's hitting college shots now too, like mid range, and he's added a 3-ball. He's always been athletic and can get to the rim, and so it's just he's looking really, really good this year.
Yeah, so he's someone, when you said defensively, he's just been very disruptive. Is it kind of just really switching to multiple defenders, getting steals?
Yeah.
How's it really just came along?
Just like you said, he's long, athletic, switching, getting steals, blocking shots, like on-ball shots, coming off his man help, just blocking shots like that as well. He's just been a defensive menace for everybody. I think against when they played Crosby, he had about 5 or 6 blocks, and he had a game this year where he had a triple-double with double-digit blocks. So he's just been crazy defensively this year.
So Terrence Arsenault is a kid that I was talking to a couple just evaluators on the national level, and they were asking me, they said, man, we were really intrigued. We know he had a good, strong summer. How's he been playing? And when I got to see him, I was like, he's been really, really good. I mean, he's always a kid. Even when he was younger, you're like, okay, he has a chance of being really good.
Yeah.
And now he's starting to hone to his own. And I think it just always goes back to patience, especially with player development. You're not really, especially with guys that kind of, long, gangly, can't really walk and chew bubble gum. 14, 15 years old. Those are always the kids. They come to your camp. Like, we run our Cream to Crop camp, and I know y'all, was it Rucker on the Woods? Generally, what they come
out? Rucker on Wood, and we also have a Southwest Exposure camp now as well. So.
And the kid, like, and I'm not saying Terrence Arsenault is bad, as a younger, but you wouldn't have said he's a top 2 to 3 player.
Absolutely no, not at all. Not at all.
But the funny thing is, there's so many kids that are like that. I remember Rylan Griffin in 7th grade. He was the same thing, just wasn't there yet physically. Was still trying to figure out what the hell he was, how to rock.
Absolutely.
And
all about,
go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was just saying it's all about the player development and how hard are they going to work, and if they're really dedicated, then they can absolutely take that next step into being one of the top guys in the city and state and probably nationally.
Right, absolutely. And it just goes back to show it's a long game. This is
Yeah,
definitely,
absolutely.
marathon, not a sprint. So
And I
just
think a lot of people looks at the current product and base that off of that too much instead of thinking of how a kid's gonna progress a couple of years down the road. Like too many times they'll call a kid a
right.
bust and he's in the 10th grade. Like, man, get a shot, man, get 2 more years.
And it's other that kid may not. He may be a 10th grader. He may not even turn 16 yet. It's just
Yeah,
like what I
exactly.
was. I tell
Exactly.
people, I say,
So,
okay, look at that kid and add 10 pounds to him and add 2 more years. What does that look like?
absolutely, absolutely. Like you don't know how kids are gonna mature, man. So I just
Right.
laugh at the kids. They 10th grade, oh man, he ain't as good as y'all say he think he is. Like, man, the kid 15 in the 10th grade, man, relax.
Right. Right. So, Doug, want to throw you. Well, I don't want to throw you a couple things. I want to see. I want to ask you, what are some names that in Houston, it could be 21, 22, that no one's really just talking a whole lot about that's really been performing?
Noah. Well, I mean, a lot of people know Noah Khan, but Noah Khan's been playing really well this year. Point guard from
Okay.
Houston Christian. He recently, I think, Saturday, he became the all-time leading scorer at Houston Christian High School, and that's he passed Miller Kopp, who's currently at Northwestern. He has 1,800 points with probably a month and a half left to go in the season. So he might put up a mark that might not ever be broken.
Wow.
So he's been playing well. Amari Abrams at Summer Creek. He's been performing really, really well. They have a big game coming up Saturday against Atascocita, who's currently top team in the city and number 2 in the state. And that's a rivalry game. Like those games are, it doesn't matter who's the better team. It's always going to come down to the last few possessions of the game. Tom Hart is a kid in the 2021 class at Atascocita that's been having a really, really good year. He played really well as a sophomore. For some reason last year, it seemed like he lost his confidence, but this year he's been playing really well. Confidence is on 100, swag's on 1,000. Like he's been playing well. So Tom Hart is another one. It's so many kids been performing well this year.
So,
go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. No, you have one.
We talked about Jordan Williams because I do a thing every week called the Doug's Dozen, where I highlight the top 12 performers of the city. And Jordan's been in there pretty much every week. Chukwuka Satua has been playing well too for Yates, the big kid.
Okay, has he? Good.
Yeah, he had 34 Saturday, and he's had games where he's had like 20 and 20 this year. So he's been playing well.
So with Amari Abrams, he was a kid I talked about a couple of weeks ago. Really enjoy watching him play because he just gets downhill, and there's just nobody stopping him getting to where he wants. His jumper has came a long way, which kind of makes defenders have to play him honest more, and it's kind of opened up more driving lanes for him. He's done a really good job at Summer Creek and really, leading his guys. I got to watch a game just off, and I was just really impressed. Guys that like to attack generally can get a little reckless. And I saw less recklessness from him than I see in the past. And that was that was really good. Now that Atascocita game, Coach Martinez, I know he's gonna have something drawn up for him. I think Amari. I
went to the first matchup in December, and Summer Creek pretty much was in the game, and then those senior guards from Atascocita just took over in the fourth quarter. Caleb Stewart, Tom Hart, Christian Ashby, who's probably one of the best, if not the best shooter in the city. They just took over in the fourth quarter. So it's going to be interesting Saturday. I'm going to be in the building for that one.
So who you got? Who you got winning? Do we see an upset here?
No, I'm going with Atascocita, man. Those guys are too good and too deep, man. They are a legit 13 deep, and all those kids can play, man.
I know. when I saw them at the Holiday Hoop Fest against Shadow Creek, I projected Shadow Creek to win that game. But then when Coach Martinez just threw two, do another three, and those guys, there's no fall off. Like you said, you can go 13 guys. There's no fall off, and someone may not score 20 points, and that's okay, right?
That's fine.
But one thing I do like about that team, everybody's unselfish. You go on the bench, everybody's encouraging each other. Even when someone may go in there and those 3-4 minutes he played was a bad one, they're encouraging him, they're uplifting him. The assistant coaches, they're very active. It's just I was sitting behind the bench. I was just really impressed. I was just really impressed. And people be like, well, what does that have to do on the court? Well, those little things right there do equate.
That's a big part.
It's a huge part. And you got Caleb Stewart, La Tech signee, who's been playing well. He kind of just gives guys, and he really initiates their offense and does a good job just kind of getting to spots and really creating for others. Like you said, Tom Hart. You talked about his swagger. I was seeing in warm-ups, and Tom just they're just this kind of walk and jog to him, I got this. Like I got this. And you really see it on the court. He's really playing well. He's really playing. Like you said, I didn't see him play very well his junior year, but this year it's been a bounce back year for him.
It's like night and day, man. I don't know what it was last year. He performed really well his the sophomore year. Like I said, for some reason last year it just didn't click, but this year he's taking it to another level. And him, and I think the most important key piece to that team is Justin Collins, who signed to Robert Byrd at University of Cossatot. That kid, man.
Yeah.
Every big shot they need, every big play they need, he comes up with it. And when you saw him, they didn't even have Caleb Pouncey. He was coming back from injury.
Oh, yeah,
they 2022 kid. He's back now, so
wow.
They loaded, man. They loaded over there.
Justin Collins came to my camp, and he played well too. I think he was third because we stat our camp. He was third in rebounds at that camp, and a lefty, wiry, fearless. He'll take shots. Sometimes you're like, why in the hell did you take that shot? But he'll go in. And even when he'll go in, and even when he misses, he's like, okay. He kind of gets to the basket. He knows what he is, and he just plays his role and just is the best version of himself. And when I saw him play, I was like, man, this kid, he's a real impact player, especially defensively. I kind of switch up the ball. Yeah, he's a terror. Kind of gets into your personal space, even with his length, and he's gonna talk a little shit too. I like it.
Absolutely. I love it, man. I love it. I love watching that kid play, man. Like he gives me what I want every time I go watch a Tascasita play. I know what I'm gonna get from Justin Collins. Absolutely.
Right. So, what are some teams that really been performing well that you got to watch, and the records really been like 13-1 or 11-1? Like I talked about Garland. No one even realized Garland's 11-1. This season. I just found out like 2 days ago. I was like, whoa, they were undefeated by that time. They lost last night. But so what's some teams that really performed that we just haven't people haven't really acknowledged as much?
Bel Air's only lost one game, and that was to Beaumont United by like 9 points. I watched them last night. There was a battle between them and Heights for first place in district. Heights was undefeated in district. That game was over at halftime. They came out and blitzed Heights defensively, and it was over at the half. That game was over. It ended up being a 30-point game. They held Heights to 26 points, 28% shooting, forced 24 turnovers. It was it was unbelievable how well they played defensively. Bel Air is definitely a team that people in Region 3 can't sleep on. You have a Division I guard in Elijah Lawrence, Garner Rice, and Jacob Cole, the sophomore that's really, really talented. He didn't shoot it well last night, but he rebounded well. I think he finished with 8 points. Doesn't miss free throws at all. Like, he doesn't miss free throws. So now Bel Air is one team that's surprising, and I got to watch Katy Paytal the other night.
Okay, Big Chooks.
Yeah, Big Chooks. Yeah, he didn't have a good game. You know, he's just a physical specimen, man. His body's ridiculous. For a 2022 kid, they have some really good guard play. They have a couple of senior guards, and Brian McKnight and Kyle Watkins. And the junior guard, Trevor Frank, is really good, man. He's quiet on the court, but you'll look up here and have 25. Easy. Easy. Yeah. Huffman. Trevor Frank, 22? Yeah, Trevor Frank's a 2022 kid. Huffman in 4A is undefeated. A lot of people don't know that. Jacob Harvey is a sniper. Kid doesn't miss. And if he gets hot, you count Christmas. He's going to go for 40, without a doubt. They're undefeated. They have a big game coming up against Hardin Jefferson coming up Friday on the road, which is going to be a pretty good test for them. So it'll be interesting to see what that looks like. And Hightower was kind of flying below the radar, to be honest, which is crazy to think about when you have a kid like Bryce Griggs.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy.
But nobody's really talking about Hightower, man. I have because they lost to Atascocita the first game of the year, which was 2 weeks after everybody else had played because they had a COVID case. You know, they were quarantined. So they got beat. It was about almost 20. They didn't have a good game. So they kind of like rubbed people the wrong way, but they've been rolling ever since. I don't think they've lost since then. And another team in 5A is Manville. Manville's only loss was to Atascocita the first Saturday of the season. They've been rolling. They have a big and Sean Walker going to McNeese. And they have some good guards, man. So a lot of people's not talking about Manville. They're ranked top 10 in the state in TABC. But yeah, man, they gonna be a threat. That 5A is gonna be real interesting with Manville, Paytown, Hightower, and Beaumont United. It's gonna be real interesting to see who comes out the region. I'm a homer. I'm going with Beaumont United, man.
I knew you were going to say that. That's why I asked the question. I knew you were going to say it. I knew you were going to go with Beaumont.
I mean, because you got Arsenal, Wesley Yates III, who's a killer, and Traylon Porsche is really good. The thing that concerns me about them is they don't have a true big and a true point guard. That's the only thing that concerns me. If there's, like, let's say, for instance, they play Manville. Well, Arsenal's going to have to guard Sean Walker, who has him about 70 pounds in the
at least.
Right? Yeah, at least 70 pounds. And if you play against Hightower, who's going to watch Bryce Griggs at the point guard position? So those are some teams that's been surprising in the area.
So, you know, it's very interesting that you mentioned Hightower being a team that's kind of, you know, no one talked about. I remember I went to Atascocita game for a little bit. Atascocita, you know, through them. And now looking at hindsight, I mean, you lost to the, you know, the number one team in the city. Which is okay. And again, it's interesting because you got the number one player in 2022. Well, and you can say in just the city period, and Bryce Griggs, who's really been performing well, been seeing his stat line and, you know, just kind of coming to his own a little bit. You know, he was at that school in California and came back, and I know there was still kind of some adjustments there early on, and I didn't know they were in quarantine. So it's good that they're kind of rolling. Tyrone Baker, you know, they're really doing their thing. Now, Jacob Harvey is somebody you mentioned, and I really like him play. You want to talk about someone that can shoot at any time he catches the basketball.
Anytime.
And and that Jacob Harvey, like his feet are always set when he catches the ball. And
Absolutely.
for guys that want to be shooters, you know that say they're shooters, that's that's a big thing. You can run them off screens. He can kind of hit little fades and just off the catch. He's so dead. I seen him just hit like 4 threes in a row, and it was just nothing. I mean, it was kind of like this is what I.
I saw him about 3 or 4 years ago, and I was like, man, this kid's gonna be one of the best shooters I've seen. Like, he wasn't missing anything, and like you said, his feet were always set. He was always ready to shoot.
Yeah, no, he's really, really fun to watch because I mean he'll get 4 or 5 threes on you, and if it's a 1 to 2 possession game, you're down by double digits like that.
Yeah, just like that. Yep.
And so that I do like Jacob Harvey, and I'm glad his team is really, really playing well. Manville was a team I saw in the fall. I like Sean Walker. This was my first time from like June to October just really getting to watch Sean Walker play, and I was like, man, he is such a beast in the paint, and he's just skilled lefty. He's gonna finish with his left, but you can't stop it.
You can't stop it. Exactly.
He can't stop it. He just knows how to kind of like get his shoulders wide, boom, hit. Even when he goes against a more athletic big, he just knows how to like keep you at bay and just unorthodox on how he gets shots. I'm not saying he is the same type, but I saw Kenneth Lofton was kind of the same way.
Yeah.
Just who's at La Tech. I mean, just you're like, oh man, like that kid can't play against another big, another kid that's taller, more athletic. But I mean, you don't know when they're going to get it off.
Yeah, I think I used to watch them practice against each other when they Sean was on the 16 hoops and Lofton was on the 17 hoops, and I think he got a lot. I think he learned a lot from Kenneth Lofton and going against Big Ruben Father. Even though Big Deuce is a football guy, he's really good at basketball.
Ruben was really good.
Like, so going against those two guys that practice twice a week and for a whole summer, I'm pretty sure he soaked up a lot of knowledge from those two kids.
That makes a lot of sense because stylistically they're all the same, as far as just Ruben, you wouldn't say it's like an undersized, but just on the athleticism front where they're lacking.
Below
but
the
just really, but just really skilled and can get a lot.
Yeah,
I like. And they have a 2023 kid at Manville. I saw
Jamar McDowell.
Yes. I like him. How's he been playing?
Yeah. Well, I saw Manville the first game of the season against Atascocita. He didn't perform well, but from all indications, he's turned it around and been playing really, really well. So he's going to be key for them advancing in the playoffs because he has a shot to be really, really good, man. I saw him this summer perform really well for the Defenders.
Good. Yeah. I saw one game with him in Defenders, and I liked him. And then when I saw him at Manville, I guess I didn't recognize his face. I asked him his name, and I was like, oh, yeah, you play for the Defenders? He said, yeah. And I was like, he probably strung like a 19-point game. They play Shadow Creek. That's what Manville plays, Shadow Creek.
Oh, okay,
showcase scrimmage type deal. And he played really well there. So I'm gonna ask this. We'll go where we're comfortable. I want to start 3A and go to 6A in Houston.
All right.
Who comes out?
In 3A, that's tough, man. I don't know about 3A. I'm gonna be honest.
Okay, we'll go 4A. That's why I said whatever you're comfortable with.
All right.
Whatever you're comfortable with.
4A, Yates. I'm gonna give you 2. I'm gonna give you Yates. And don't sleep on Huffman, man. Huffman has the tools to make it to San Antonio, to be honest.
Okay.
5A, of course, I'm going with Beaumont United. Yeah. And 6A, man, it's hard to pick against Atascocita because they're so deep. And like you mentioned, man, nobody has to score 20. Like, nobody on their team. I don't think anybody scored 20 on their team this year. The game I've watched, and I've seen them like 6 times.
Yeah.
But they've won every game. So like they might not score 20, but you have 5 or 6 guys give you about 12 to 15 points. So I'm rolling with Atascocita in 6A.
So now my next question, before we get Mike on, and I'll let you go. I know I'm asking some hard questions a little bit towards the end. Who went out in Houston? Who wins the state championship?
I think Beaumont United has the tools to win it.
Okay.
I do. I know Lancaster's really good. Wade is a monster. Then I heard they got a new move in too, but United, I think Atascocita can win as well.
Okay, you think that pulled off against Duncanville, because that's who I have.
That's who you got. You got Duncanville making it.
I got Duncanville.
Okay, yeah, I think they could beat Duncanville. I think so. Of course,
Duncanville showed this year they're beatable.
Exactly. That's all they can be beat. I mean, they lost to Waxahachie, and then Legacy had them on the ropes too. So
I heard.
Yeah, so I haven't seen anybody.
Yeah.
I want to see how Atascocita responds to having to win the game down the stretch, which they did against Shadow Creek. So, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that
Shadow Creek even. Yeah.
And I obviously I can't sleep on Waxahachie. Waxahachie, of course, didn't beat Duncanville. So they have a chance. I still think Duncanville does win it, but I would love to see the Atascocita Duncanville game.
Man. You and me both, man.
I know we're in. I know we're in a pandemic, but I think the gym would be filled.
Absolutely. They'll figure a way to make that happen, man. We in Texas. Some people in Texas act like the pandemic don't even exist.
Right. But Doug, I appreciate you coming on. As always, good talking to you. Again, like someone that I've been, following on Twitter, been talking to. Like I said, you've someone that's helped me out. Just as far as in this game and as far as an evaluator. So, really appreciate you. Hats off. I know it's not easy covering Houston. I know you put your rankings out. I know people probably get mad when you don't put their kid on Doug Dozen.
Yeah, it's crazy. He could have a 12-point game. Man, he was efficient. He was 3 for 5 on the field. Like, man, come on, man. What are we doing here?
And I just kind of what comes with it, but definitely salute to you. Appreciate you coming out. Definitely would like to have
having me, man.
Oh, no problem at all. No problem at all. All right, then, Doug. You have a good day. All right.
All right, man. Y'all have a good one. Thank you.
All right, appreciate it. All right, guys. So next we got Mike Lopez. Mike's someone that I know he's been ready to kind of get on the show. He's been someone that's been following us on every episode. Mike also works for Alamo City Hoops. So let's get Mike on here and let him talk his talk.
What's going on, Ani? Good to be with you, man. You hear me?
What's good, Mike?
What's good?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right.
Not much. How you been?
So happy to be on with you, man. Been a while. Shoot, just
good.
You
nervous?
Nah, man. Nah, I'm with family. When you're with family, you're never nervous, man.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Now, Brian, he makes me nervous.
I know. I'm just messing with you.
I'm gonna go with you.
Brian makes you nervous. He makes me nervous too.
Smiles too much.
But Mike, Mike, you coached at Sunnybrook. That's what you used to coach at Sunnybrook. Kind of talk also just your coaching background, just your basketball background. Kind of just talk about your impact in this game.
Well, I've been so fortunate to work with some great players that have come through the city, either by virtue of being brought in through other means where kids, sometimes San Antonio is known as a hub for, it's a military city, right? So sometimes we get kids in from other parts of the country, even the world. And I've been very fortunate to work with the kids from all over the world in this beautiful game. And, as they've progressed, my career has progressed, these kids have made a way by their talent and their hard work for me to even be on a show like this, to have any kind of platform. And so their parents, I give them a lot of credit for that. Yeah, I know the game. Yeah, I can X and O. Yeah, I'm great with people, all that. But without the people, without those kids, without those parents, I don't have that opportunity. And I think that's what all coaches understand too, is they know how they got where they got. They appreciate how they got where they got. And so, yeah, man, I mean, just, 20 plus years of coaching high school basketball, now as an administrator, as a principal, and, working with Alamo City Hoops, I'm just doing the best to step into that scouting space, evaluating space that I know really, really well. And, I'm not the best, but I'm better than most, as they say. And because I've seen it. And, Ani, you've seen a lot of that I've had, man. And when you see that every day at practice, you know what a player looks like, a player. You know what a potential star at the next level is. And I don't want to say pro, because we use that term real loosely sometimes, that future pro. And I won't do it. Maybe to my wife, I'll be like, hey, baby, this kid might be a future pro. But, Coach Hewitt, who coached at Georgia Tech and is a scout for the LA Clippers, he, had a podcast with him, interview with him. And he said, man, even at this level, there's different levels to being a professional. And so at those different levels of being a professional, it's really hard to say, okay, this kid is going to be a future pro out of college. Because even at the pro level, you can't tell who's going to be a pro at the NBA level. So I've just learned, man, and through wisdom imparted by a lot of different people, that this game and how I view it is not necessarily always the right way, even when it's evaluated, and Alan's helped you as well and helped me to learn how to evaluate.
Yeah.
And, Antonio Castillo, who runs Alamo City Hoops, has been a great mentor as well, giving me perspectives. I need more perspectives on these kids. I've seen them. I've seen some of them, succeed, some of them fail, but that's just my perspective. I need others' perspectives to see something maybe I didn't see. And so, yeah, man, I mean, I love this game. I love working with people, young people in particular. And so, yeah, that's kind of it, kind of the condensed version.
Gotcha. No, definitely. You've seen it. You coached it. You've been around it for a long time. And, I know when you got into the evaluator space, I know you were going to do a really good job, just because, it's big. When you can see it, you acknowledge what you're looking at, when it gets evaluated, that's a big part of it. So, I'm glad to kind of, you kind of join the family when you evaluate it. It kind of seems like to me, it's like a little family. So, glad that you're a part of it for sure. Yeah. So let's talk about teams. Also, one of the champion high school, I believe they're 19-1 this season.
Bernie Champion. Yeah. Bernie Champion is something different, man. I mean, they've come a long way with their program. There's two high schools in Bernie and then Bernie Champion, at least public, I should say, because there's some privates as well. But they've come a long way in how they're developing players, how they're working. They're really involved, in the AAU scene too. Whereas before, kids in that area weren't really playing AAU ball, like say the last 10, 12 years. And so now they've gotten a taste of like what it takes across the state to be successful. And then also that part of the region of San Antonio, which is kind of like like say the Woodlands in Houston, right? Like it's up there north of us, but we really, when we view Bernie schools, Bernie teams, Bernie as a whole, it's a place of opportunity where kids are, there's money there to help them. There's, just different channels of means, I should say. It's a more affluent area. So they're getting a lot of time. They're getting a lot of work. Parents are doing a great job of providing every means of opportunity for their kids to get the work they need. So that's why they're seeing that success as well, because they have good kids. I've seen those kids. Just like every kid, they have their ups and downs, but they work as a team. It's a real team right there. And Braxton Burdick is kind of like their guy. I remember his dad growing up. Another great ball player. So yeah, they're doing their thing, and 19-1, man, that's nothing to sneeze at, man. You win 10 in a row, you're doing well. You win 19-1 in a pandemic where you're maybe not practicing as much. It's a lot of cohesiveness and a lot of team. A lot.
Absolutely. Who are some other teams and players? And we can also go West Texas, because I know y'all I know y'all cover really those areas a lot. Just who are some players that really been performing the past couple months that we haven't really talked about, that just kind of been under the radar?
So like Noah Robledo, right? He's at Leander, who I think a lot of people do know about him now, but the best unsigned senior out there, quite honestly, here in the tri-regions, right? And so he'll be committing Friday at 6:00. He really didn't give a list, an offer list. He's got UIC with Coach Yaklich, who was out here at UT, so that connection's there. Idaho, UC Irvine, Coach Turner, San Diego. So he didn't give a list really. He just said, "I'm gonna make my decision." And so we don't press kids like, well, what are you leaning towards? But he just said that he's gonna make his decision. And so other kids out there like Lubbock Trinity Christian, 6'1" guard Ethan Duncan, that kid can shoot. He can shoot lights out. I mean, there's some good shooters in the state, and he's one of them. And so he's somebody to Ethan Duncan, man. Just a great kid, great shooter. Here in San Antonio at St. Mary's Hall, you got Gavin Walker, 6'2" shooting guard, St. Mary's Hall. Had some smaller D3 kid, maybe. He has a teammate, Hunter Darling, who's 6'5", that can work too. And I've gotten calls about him personally from my same school. They're at St. Mary's Hall. They do a lot of good work there. Now, there's some other kids under the radar that I think but who succeed, there's a level for them. And one of the
Hey, Mike, can you say that again? We had a little technical difficulty there. Can you talk about the kid from St. Mary's Hall?
From where St. Mary's Hall? Okay. Gavin Walker and Hunter Darling.
Yeah.
Gavin Walker, 6'2" shooting guard, combo guard really, and then Hunter Darling, who's a 6'5" post. Here again, a lot of attention. Division III have some offers already on the table, but I think guys that can develop into much better than we're at right now at the next level. There's those guys that you say they're great right now and they're ready to step in. Kids that aren't ready to step something great one day if they continue to work hard and stay focused. And I think those kids are like that. I really do. I believe it as I see them progress already. Their ceiling is the roof, like MJ said, but their ceiling is pretty good. I like it. And, like our city's leading scorer, Aaron San Miguel out of Jefferson High School with Coach Vela. That kid can shoot that thing. He's a 22. He's 20, averaging almost 25 points a game. I know a lot of teams don't need, small scorers, but a lot of teams do, at whatever level. We've got a combo here at McCullum High School here in the south side of San Antonio with Coach Alvarado, Chris Villarreal, and Jordan Barajas. Jordan Barajas is a player. He's 6'5", very springy, very active on the boards, could easily be a wing slasher type guy at the next level. And he's tough and he's gritty. That's a San Antonio kid right there. Like, You want to posterize a San Antonio kid. Okay, they're strong, they're gritty. They probably played football at some point in their life or baseball, and they played hard at every sport they've ever attempted. And so kids like that are just gritty kids are out there. And I think you go to Houston, you go to Dallas for the 5-star for the most part, right? Like you look for those kids there. In San Antonio, sometimes we sprinkle in a few and they leave or whatever, or they stay and get, like my kids at Athlos and even Sunnybrook, they get chastised and treated wrong for whatever reason. But the kids here in San Antonio are good, hardworking kids, good academic kids, and they're working, man. I mean, like that's what you want a kid to do from day one. Is just work. You off in a program, whatever level it is, you got to work to prove yourself. You don't walk in thinking like, yeah, I got it. And I think Texas kids are good at that overall.
Right.
But Houston, Dallas, they've got a ton of talent. Guys everywhere. You could just go to Valero in Dallas, and there's some kid there just like chilling, getting a pack of M&Ms, and he's 6'8", and you're like, oh my God, where'd you come from? Like San Antonio, it ain't really like that for the most part. The kids who are here, there's a place for them. And every coach listening right now, there's a place. If you're not recruiting San Antonio at whatever level you think San Antonio has, you're missing out on some tough kids. And that's really the thing, man. Like we got a kid down here at Somerset High School, Matt Soto. He's a 23.
Yeah, I know you're talking about. Yeah.
He shoots anywhere and everywhere. Like he walks in the gym, he'll shoot it, and he's efficient. Like it's not like just volume shooting. The kid will shoot 6 shots a game, 6 threes a game, make 4. Junior Sanchez at Central Catholic, man, the kid can shoot it. He had a game the other day. He hit 9 threes. Like I don't care what level of talent you're playing against. When you hit 9 threes in a game, you can shoot. Like that's that period, point blank. And at 6'2", I've seen him, good sized kid. Now here again, what level? That's to be determined. Where I think he should be,
right? That's
my own opinion. But here again, we've got a lot of great players here in San Antonio that just don't get the run for whatever reason. But that's why we're here. That's why Alamo City Hoops is here. That's why we're in this space, just like everybody else is in their own spaces. And, West Texas, same thing. We're in that space. Down south, the Corpus area, right, down the coast, a lot of people don't put eyes on kids out there. And you've got, kid at London High School, Chesney, 6'6", great frame. That's another kid that really makes some noise. Flower Bluff, they're having a great season. Here again, another school that has a lot of opportunity for a lot of kids. They've got some players out there. 6'3", combo guard Henry Ibarra can play. 6'2", Alec Roberson, tough. That kid is like the Dennis Rodman of high school. He just knows his role.
Like that tough.
Yeah, he gets after it. He works hard. And then the team wins, and maybe he doesn't have all the points in the world, but he's got, the stat line from the manager's perspective. He's got that stat line filled up. Tip balls, charges, can shoot it. When he's open, he can shoot it. So I look at kids like that down south that, even there at Flower, they have a 6. Check it out, honey. I seen this kid with my own eyes. Like I did a combine down there over last summer. Kid is a 2023 Hayden Wilson, 6'7". He's a baby. Like by age, he's a baby, but he's a grown man. And the kid is a man, and as he progresses, I see, man, I see Division I for sure. Now, where he goes from that, at what level there, that's a whole nother story. But these are the type of kids that are just sitting there, and that people aren't. They need to see. They need to get out. Coach is always looking for hidden gems, right? Every coach is saying, right. I need to know about that kid that nobody knows about. I need to know about that kid. But don't tell anybody else about him, right? So whatever, right? But, that's the kind of kid. Yeah, that's the kind of kids we have down there, and I love being in the gyms. Now you talk about teams and players. Last night I was at Wagner Judson. Right, Wagner is so short-handed, it ain't even funny. Like it's like if I showed up to a pickup game with just me and my dad and my 80-year-old uncle. Like I don't know, we're gonna give it our best shot, but whatever.
Right.
You know, it was a great game. I was there covering it. Judson's got some players. Judson has 6'1", Isaiah Washington, about 6 foot. Take it back, Isaiah Washington. The kid can play. The kid is ice cold, like ice in his veins. Just takes over games when he has to. Him and his partner, Anaris Brown, they're just players, man. They have a big kid who goes back and forth, who's a football star and a basketball. I don't want to say he's a star, but he cleans the glass. About 6'5", Davion Wilson.
Mm-hmm.
These kids, man, they go. Like Judson kids are known for just going, and they play and they play and they work hard. Coach Lopez out there works hard with those kids. Just like last night, Coach Clark, him and Coach Smith work so hard with those kids to manufacture whatever they can do with what they have. What they have is a bunch of good kids that just grind and grind. And so, no game, you know, I saw Wagner give everything they had. Of course, Jayshon Jackson is Jayshon Jackson. Like he shows up. You know, he reminds me a lot of Greg Bowie, who I had and I love, and it just can take over games. And so, yeah, I mean, Judson sits atop their district. They've done really well. I believe that's besides Antonian, like Antonian's right there at the top, and Coach Bernal is doing a great job there at Antonian. That machine is rolling. That machine will roll majority of 6As in Texas. That's how good they are. I just don't see their path to a state championship in TAPS is championship or bust. Like that's pretty much it because they have so much talent and they play so well, work so hard. And what a lot of people don't know about Coach Bernal, or maybe they do, but in his years at Lanier High School, where he really made a name for himself, you know, he went to the state championship games, but always came up short. In his tough, never had a player over 6'3", 6'4" for the most part, and those were post players going up against some great teams out of Dallas and Houston. But now he's got size, he's got guard play, he's got those guys playing now with the size, the way he had those kids at Lanier playing. And when you have that kind of just grit, here again, I can't overstate the grit and the hard work that our kids bring down here in San Antonio. And any coach out there listening has to play San Antonio teams coming up from Dallas or Houston or wherever. They know that. They know, like, this ain't going to be an easy out. Like, right. At the end of the day, talent may take over, but we're going to, you know, by that fourth quarter, we're going to be worn. And so that's really, like, here again, you talk about top teams. Antonia's a top team. Judson's a top team. And so I just, you know, Bernie Champion, like you talked about. And it all comes from their coaches. They're all mere images of their coaches. And their coaches bring it every day. You know, these kids out here just work. So that's why I like representing them too, because I'm from the area.
Yeah. No, you definitely have a passion, you know, especially just, you know, on covering those kids and just really acknowledging those kids. I mean, one point you made that was really interesting to me, and it's kind of going back to it. You said, you know, college coaches and kind of go at every level. They're like, oh, we don't really want a small score, right? But then mid-season, they say, oh, we need a score. And, you know, and it's like, man, we got to get guys that put the ball in the hole. And I was like, I mean, that's basketball. The ball got to go in the hole, you know? So guys that can fill it up, there's always a place. Like you said, there's always a place. Now, what level that is, you know, to be determined, like you said, where I think or you think is, you know, that's just what it is. But there is no matter the size, there is a premium for scoring the basketball. And those type of kids still, you know, they deserve to be in a place to play, especially if that scoring translates. You know what I mean? So definitely
Yeah,
like
you could look. Yeah, you could look at a kid like Braylon Bush, right? Like I remember seeing him junior year in the South Sand tournament down here, right? And I took a picture of him because I'm like, I've never seen a kid this size just go off. Like maybe I had, but it'd been a while. And I thought to myself, this kid has a place at the Division I level. And everyone's like, well, his size, he's tough, he's strong, but nothing. A kid could play. And I think that's what you're talking about too, is like there's a spot for the kids that can fill it up because like you said, not everybody can fill up that thing. They just can't. I don't care how big, I don't care what their wingspan is, I don't care what their vertical is. I don't even care what their IQ is. You can't always fill it up.
right. No, absolutely. We lost him. So there. Yeah. Okay. No, absolutely. And then another kid, I was really intrigued when you said the kid from Corpus Christi, Walker, last name, about 6'7".
Hey Wilson.
Yeah, hey Wilson. Yes, talk about him. Really picked by G. He said 6'7", kind of has growing game, young, but you think he's a kid that in that 23 class, what you think could be a potential top 10 to 15 guy. So what's your thoughts on him?
I think through his development, the right development, right? So like most of the time what happens is kids from that area will say, I got to come to San Antonio and play for somebody, right? In the AU circuit or whatever, circuit team, whatever. Maybe that works. Maybe if he just hits, gets in the gym every day, the kid has a frame already. He can't move. He's not, 6'7", stuck to the floor and vertically challenged. Like he's a kid who has, here again, can go as far as speed. Now his face up, he can get there sometimes. Kids will fit in their high school programs where they're needed, right? Sometimes the kid that's 6'8", 6'7", that can face up, you're never going to see it because it's not needed. But as I work with a lot of kids, I do player development. And when I work with kids that are that big, because I've had the bigs before, like I've had the 6'11", I've had the 6'10". Generally, you're going to post want the paint, want the paint touches for them. But if I have a guy like James Jean-Marie, who's at Hawaii right now, who's 6'7", who's at Navarro, who can go in there and drive to the basket, get rebounds, put back dunks, then I want to help develop a kid that could possibly be there, especially if they're 23, especially if they still got time, So a kid like that, I think, has that kind of potential. I think could eventually crack the top 50 in the state. Like, I think that because I trust my eyes, like they say, right? I just trust them, and I feel that sense of like, okay, I've seen this play out before. If you've been coaching long enough and you've seen kids progress long enough, there's kind of a blueprint to how you've seen them go from point A to point B. And that's what I see with this kid. I'm like, I've seen this movie before. I know where this is headed if he works. If he rests on his laurels and on the hype, if he ever gets a whole lot of it, then he'll probably stay where he's at. He'll still play like a sophomore his senior year. And it'll always be what could have been. But this kid, I don't think is that kid. Parents are hardworking people. They're not, he's not a silver spoon kid.
Yeah. What's so interesting when it comes to evaluation, it's about comparison, right? So when you've done it long enough, you see a kid and it's, he kind of reminds me of this kid, or I remember this kid at this age and he plays like him. And then, like you said, obviously it develop what happens throughout the years determines if they become that type better, doesn't really fulfill, but it's really a comparison game for the most part. When you look at when you look at a kid like Braylon Bush, and they're different, but when you just kind of look at those smaller, tough guys, like he has a toughness like Trajan Wesley, who I believe you know, and it just kind of like, you know, you kind of look, oh, he's like this kid, remember saying he has a toughness like this kid, you know, and you just, it's a comparison game. So a kid like him, I definitely need to go out and watch. I mean, and that's what's great about having you on the show. I mean, you brought to light a lot of kids today that, you know, I know Matthew Soto, haven't seen in a while since the summer, but I know he's been really playing well. You talked about a kid that's a Lubbock Christian. There's a plethora that just I need to go watch and see. So, you know, you really shed the light. And one thing you talked about toughness and the grit of players, and people don't understand that's a translatable skill. Because you can't go play whatever it's that D3 JUCO, D3 NAIA, D2, whatever. I mean, Region 14, Region 5, whatever, Division 1. You can't be a soft kid. So you can't. I mean, you're not going to see the floor. I mean, a kid that may be lesser talented than you, but will do what the coach wants them to do, and just tougher and grittier, is going to see more minutes. Yeah. And so kids like that, like you said, probably on the radar, especially being San Antonio, because obviously, like, you know, you got Dallas and Houston that has a majority of the, you know, upper echelon guys. Yeah. Right. That hold upper echelon guys. In San Antonio, I have seen some pieces that come out and are really, really good. I mean, you had a kid, Bones. I love watching him play when he was at Sunnybrook. You know, I thought that was a kid that was really talented. Yeah. That was undervalued.
Yeah, he's a weirdo. I mean, he was a unicorn, like 6'9", and just did everything. Just weird. And even at practice, there was things that I saw him do at practices on the day-to-day that I would tell him, look, if you want to do this during the game, go for it. Like, I gave him the green light to be him because he was always looking to help others. He wasn't about himself. He was a great passer out of the double team because he was taller than everybody. But when he needed a body, an FE out, who's out at, where's he at? Where's FE out now?
UTEP, right?
Yeah, UTEP. Okay, when he was bodying him, I'm literally catching bodies on him. I thought, okay, this kid can play at the next level because FE was a grown man, even in high school. And so I'm seeing that, and I'm saying, okay. Is not the size necessarily, but the strength and the toughness, because that's what's going to keep them where they're at. They'll get on the radar because of their size. They'll get on the radar because they can shoot that thing. They'll get on the radar because a coach talks about them enough. But will they stay there, and will that PT be sustainable? That's the grit and the toughness that'll keep them there.
Right. Absolutely. You know, Mike, I really, you know, this was refreshing, especially having you on today. You know, you like you talked about a lot of kids. You gave a whole lot of different perspectives. What I really liked. You know, me and you, we go some years. You know, now, you know, and you were one of the first people I really talked to when I kind of got into this. You know, real confident with your evals. You will go to places. One thing that I feel like me are similar in. And I think there's numerous things, but like you will go to spots that no one else will go, the gyms that no one else will go.
For sure.
And I like that. I kind of thought like the kid at Spring Creek to 2024, Amir Ali, like randomly, I just got up. I said, hey, he's one of the upper echelon player in that class. He said, hey, we're working out today. I had no idea he had a freshman that was talented. I was just like, let me just go to this random gym in Richardson. You know,
that's what it takes.
That's what it takes. And, you know, you see this kid about 6'8", bring the ball to the floor, making a no-look left-handed pass to the guy, run the floors to get a dunk. You know, but one thing, Mike, you know, like the Wilson kids and just other kids, you're going to go to spots that no one typically really cares to go to, and I think that's, you know, that's part of being a really good evaluator.
I don't put as much miles on my car as you do. I don't get a gas per diem from the guy like Alan Branch, but you know, I do it because I love kids, first of all, and I would sit in the gym before I started coaching full time, right? I would go to tournaments and sit there for 3, 4 hours, just watch game after game after game, and just do my own
Hmm.
evaluations. And nobody cared what I thought. I wasn't writing it down on a piece of paper. I was just keeping it in my mind, thinking, "Man, I love this game. I love to see kids progress." And so, like, that's why I do it, because I'm a gym rat. I've always been one. I wasn't. Sometimes I'll be thrown out of gyms, like, "Hey, you need to go. Like, we're done. Go away." Even like here again, you want to talk about under the radar type kids. There's this kid at Holy Cross High School, right? Joshua Grimes played for Nike Pro Skills here in San Antonio. Can shoot
Hmm.
the ball. Can shoot the ball. Nobody knows who he is. But I went to a couple of his games. I've seen film on him. Recently, I went to one during the break, and I just saw the kid just flame throw.
Right.
And all that, right? So like I'm watching all that. Does his
Hmm.
mechanics change from the pregame to the game time? Is he keeping that same form? Is he keeping his feet square? Is he keeping one foot in front of the other? What's he doing? Is the elbow in, out? Like, the inconsistent ones change it all up, right? But the consistent ones are
Right.
like just a machine. And this kid's like a machine. Like he kind of reminds, I guess, Colton Benson, another great shooter, like that. Just
Okay.
a
Yeah.
kid that it goes, but you'll never hear about him because he plays for a small tap school that doesn't, here again, the level of competition that you're playing matters, yes, for sure, for evaluating kids. But when you're a shooter, you're a shooter. And that's just it.
Right.
You don't
Yeah.
care.
Well, you know what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I was going to
Yeah.
say,
No.
I don't care if you're
Go
playing
ahead.
against Quick Bill down in Houston. If you can shoot, you can shoot.
Hmm. If you know what you're looking at on it. If you just kind of look how someone can just kind of like. I was talking about Jacob Harvey with Doug. It's just like he's a kid that can shoot at any time, right? When anytime he catches the ball, when guys can really get the feet set quick and just unleash off screens and
Yeah.
shoot and make shots and it gotta look a certain way. And
Yeah.
regardless, like you said, who you're playing against, when it looks a certain way, it does translate.
Yeah. I mean, I know you know this name, Adam Behayun, who's at O'Connor, right?
Yeah.
Down here, six
Hmm.
foot five. He's got tree trunks for legs. He can post up. He's 6'5" though. Like people think, well, he's not a post player at the next level. How do you know that? Look at Draymond Green. Nobody thought he could have that kind of success. So the game's changing. You don't need a post player all the time at 6'8" and up, because even in my perception of what a post player is 6'9" and up. Because I could make a 6'7", 6'8" kid a face up kid if I work hard
Right.
enough. You have he has a teammate, right? Who's built like a linebacker, and at that next level, especially the JUCO level, where I've seen it, they got point guards who are just jacked, right? Big old
Yeah.
kids, right? And this kid is in such great shape and has a frame that at a D3 level can really have a sustainable career, have stories for his grandkids. I played college ball. And that's what I look at. Like, hey, who can I help at that level, at this high, whatever, with your family, with stories, all that stuff. And that's what I want for kids.
Oh, no, absolutely. And just using basketball as a vehicle to get an education, and then if it at the end of the day, if that comes with you making money playing basketball, if you get an education, if it's building relationships to allow you to live on your own and then build have a family and be able to take care of
Yeah.
your people. I mean, at the end of the day, that's what this is about. That's the ultimate. That's the end goal.
Yeah, no,
That's the end
that
goal.
means everything. You know why? Because a lot of us were brought up out of maybe not necessarily poverty, but struggling
Right.
paycheck to paycheck. Both my
Mhm.
parents worked hard for me to even have an opportunity to get an education. So when I did, I understood like what all went into it. I understood that my legacy is their legacy, and
Right.
so to have all that for young people to understand that it's not just about Twitter likes, it's not just about Instagram followers and all that. Like It's about getting your education. You don't need everybody has 3 stars, right? I think 2 stars, whatever. It's not about the number of stars you have. It's the number of opportunities you take advantage of. And if that opportunity comes at a JUCO level, especially this year with the way recruiting is going,
Right.
everybody gets an extra year. And some people will disagree with me, but at most levels, everybody wants to stay older or get older. So it's like jobs are on the line. They understand that, programs are cutting back. And if you're not winning games with older kids, sometimes that's the thing. So the high school kids now are such a disadvantage, but there is an advantage for those who are doing the right things, who are going to class, who are getting the academic scholarship, who can possibly walk on and then prove themselves, who can, work to that level. But if you're just thinking the game's going to take you there without having to do those other things as well, you're kind of fooling yourself. And so that's always what I want to convey to kids it's a weird time right now. So be aware.
Right. And like you said, it is definitely a weird time. Coaches call me and I would say that it's less about high schools. It's more about who's transferring, who's potentially looking at transfer. Free agents. I mean, and that's, like a kid said, my recruitment's low. I'm not getting any new offers. I'm like, well, these coaches, I mean, they're in season. They're looking at other Division I prospects. They got to win. I mean, these guys, like you said, these guys' jobs are on the line. And, it's a different time. I mean, you're going to have kids. Well, guys got to understand there's going to be high majors that have to going to commit to a mid-major because, the guys that normally go to a high major program have to commit to a mid-major or, mid-low. I mean, where it boils down to got steals. That's going to get kids that they normally not get. They wouldn't get in a traditional year. But it's also for the players and these kids to understand you got to go somewhere that loves you.
Yeah. Where you're wanted.
It's not always where you're wanted. And if the scheme fits, the coach, everything fits. Regardless of level it is, man, you need to go there and go somewhere where you will thrive.
Yeah.
If you go somewhere you'll thrive, you're gonna love being where you're going. You're gonna love being there. You're not gonna care about what the school is saying. That you're gonna love being there.
Yeah, because with all the shutting down and pausing and the cancellations, if you don't like where you're at, that's going to cause more, I think, mental health issues. There's enough to deal with at this point for young people. Throw that into the mix, you're creating another situation for yourself if you don't go somewhere you want to be. And some people will say, well, they need to toughen up and suck it up and just go. I don't always agree with that. Yeah. Because if support comes through their surroundings, their environment, and they feel comfortable there, then so be it. Call them a snowflake all you want. Say they're soft all you want. But when they get that piece of paper that says bachelor's of this, master's of that, doctorate of that, there's nothing soft about that. There's nothing soft about it.
Right.
So go where you want it, where you want it, where you fit.
Right. Mike, I appreciate you coming on today. Really good insight. Definitely won't be the last time. We're going to have you on again for multiple shows. Definitely, like I said, I really love your insight with everything, and you've been someone that's really been in the game. You put your hours in, you put in the work, and any way I can help going forward, just let me know. And
likewise,
likewise. Yeah, absolutely. So I appreciate you, Mike. Thank you for your insight, and definitely reach out to you soon. So. In the episode today, guys. First episode with me kind of just running the show. I enjoy it. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope I did a solid job. If you want to give me a rating from 1 to 10, how I did, I would love to appreciate that. I know I'm going to see some 1s. Hope that's some 10s, some 9s, some 8s. But we're going to be back next week for Inside Hoops with Ani Mata and Brian Burton. And I hope you guys have a good day. Stay blessed.